Minnesota Vikings have done a phenomenal job in terms of setting JJ McCarthy up for big time success as soon as possible. We're going to touch on everything that the Minnesota Vikings have done this offseason, from the NFL draft and the same with free agency, and why I have the Minnesota Vikings being an explosive contender in the NFC conference. It all starts with Kevin O'Connell, who has been one of the best head coaches in the NFL since the Minnesota Vikings hired him. In the regular season, his record is 34-19. That's not terrible. That's very good, considering that he has had to go out there and coach numerous quarterbacks, such as Kirk Cousins, Nick Mullins, Josh Dobbs, and the same with Sam Darnold. Now, when you look at Kirk Cousins, he was a very good quarterback coming over from the then Washington Redskins / Washington Commanders, but no one saw Kirk Cousins being this franchise quarterback long term. Kirk Cousins had a lot of big time moments with this organization. And there was some reports that came out that they did want to keep him around, but he wanted to go elsewhere. He went to the Atlanta Falcons. They went out there and they drafted a quarterback anyway. But they moved on from Kirk Cousins and they brought in Sam Darnold. Sam Darnold was a journeyman, got drafted by the New York Jets, was seen as a bust. They traded him to the Carolina Panthers. He had a couple good moments with the Panthers, but it wasn't consistent. He comes over to the Minnesota Vikings. He was a top quarterback last year. He played like a top 5 to top 10 quarterback at times. For the first half of the season, a lot of analysts, they were saying push this man to the MVP conversation because of the system that he was in. And Sam Darnold is a very good quarterback in my opinion, but Kevin O'Connell brought that out of him. And now you turn this over to JJ McCarthy. The plan last season was always for JJ McCarthy to sit for an entire year or sit for a couple of months. Then you ease him into the game plan. That's why they signed Sam Darnold to the 1-year deal for $10 million, is because he had experience playing in this system, because he was a former backup quarterback with Kyle Shanahan and the San Francisco 49ers. Unfortunately, JJ McCarthy, who you selected in the first round, he tore his meniscus. And I'm seeing a lot of reports and a lot of analysts in the national media, they're saying that this is such a huge injury. It's really not. He didn't tear his ACL. He didn't tear his Achilles. It's just a meniscus tear. These are common in sports: basketball, baseball, football. Unfortunately, he had to miss all of last year. He had to sit back behind Sam Darnold, and he got to learn. And more times than not, when you get to sit as a quarterback in football, you benefit long-term because of it. Look at Aaron Rodgers, early in his career behind Brett Favre of the Green Bay Packers. The same with Jordan Love and the Green Bay Packers. You look at Kansas City with Patrick Mahomes. He got to sit pretty much off his rookie season, except for one game behind Alex Smith. And I'm not saying that JJ is going to be the next Patrick Mahomes. He's going to be the next Aaron Rodgers. He's going to be the next Jordan Love. But more times than not, when you get to sit down and look on the sideline and learn from the quarterback in front of you and learn from his mistakes and his success, it makes the game easy on you. And part of the reason why the Minnesota Vikings are 0-2 in the playoffs with KOC being the head coach, your offensive line has not been good enough, and your interior of your defense hasn't been good enough either. When you look at that first playoff run, when they went against the New York Giants, and I know it's crazy to think about that the Minnesota Vikings were one of the best teams that year in football, and they lost to the New York Giants. For context here, they had one of the worst offensive line groups in the interior. You have a scarecrow in the backfield in Kirk Cousins. He's not known for his mobility. He's not going to move around and make a lot of plays behind the line of scrimmage. He was a sitting duck to Dexter Lawrence. We've seen the Minnesota Vikings struggle against teams like the Philadelphia Eagles because they beat them up on the interior year in and year out. And the same thing happened last year with Sam Darnold. Now, Christian, the big left tackle, one of the best left tackles in the game, he went down against the Los Angeles Rams, Thursday night football game. He hurt his leg. The offensive line wasn't the same. So you run into the Rams again in the postseason. Sam Darnold had little to no time inside the pocket, and he held onto the football for a very long time. So this offseason, you go out there and you bring in brand new interior offensive linemen, some of the best offensive linemen in free agency that you can bring in. Will Fries, who was a very good right guard coming over from the Indianapolis Colts, and the same with Ryan Kelly at the center position. That's a huge upgrade over someone like Gary Bradbury, who was terrible with Minnesota. Ryan Kelly is a consistent veteran in the interior. Will Fries is a very good right guard. You're bringing in bigger men up front that are more versatile and can give JJ McCarthy that protection. And we're talking about the Vikings here. They didn't have that with Kirk Cousins. They didn't have that with Sam Darnold. You can pay these offensive linemen. You can pay weapons on the outside because JJ's on that rookie deal. You didn't have that cap flexibility with Kirk Cousins. You had that to a certain degree with Sam Darnold, but it was just a 1-year deal for $10 million. If you wanted to bring him back, look at the deal that he just got with the Seattle Seahawks, and that will hurt the development with JJ. Even when they brought in Sam Darnold, he was playing at an elite level. The plan was always to build around JJ, and that's what they've done. And I'm not saying that they use Sam Darnold as a guinea pig, but you've seen numerous quarterbacks in the past get beat up over and over again. You have to protect this young investment, especially with him coming off this torn meniscus injury. And you drafted Donovan Jackson in the first round, who was a very good guard coming out of college. So these are 3 brand new interior offensive linemen. It may take time for that chemistry to develop, but long term, this could be one of the best offensive line groups in the NFC. You have Brian O'Neill at the right tackle position. He's a solid veteran, very good player. And Christian, like I mentioned before, your entire offense took a huge step back when he got injured against the Los Angeles Rams in the regular season. If he can go back and he can play like how he was playing before he suffered that knee injury, you're going to be golden there. And you're protecting JJ on that left side. And it's more than just going out there and protecting JJ. It was so many times last season to where Aaron Jones has to kick the run out to the outside over and over again. Now, if you have those rushing lanes in the middle, it opens up your entire offense. And this is something that Kevin O'Connell hasn't had since he became the head coach with Minnesota. And speaking of Aaron Jones, very good running back, but he does have a lot of mileage on his body. He had the 9th most rushing yards in the NFL last season, 1,138, and 5 rushing touchdowns. The expectation is for him to split carries with Jordan Mason. And Jordan Mason is a solid running back. I think that Jordan Mason can come in and he can give you a lot of good production. You just feed both of those guys. And let's not forget how the Minnesota Vikings run game was a few years ago with Kirk Cousins before he suffered that torn Achilles injury. They could rarely run the football. So now you see Kevin O'Connell. He's altering his game plan. He's going out there. He's running a more balanced attack because it's easy to go out there. You look at Jordan Addison, you look at Justin Jefferson, and you look at TJ at the tight end position. Let's just throw this football around. But when you get into colder weather, you have to be more aggressive. You have to be able to work out the play action. Go out there and make sure that JJ has that support from the offensive line and from the run game. So from that standpoint, they're golden. Now, when I look at what Sam Darnold was able to do last year, he was able to go out there, move around. He has more mobility than Kirk Cousins. He's a better athlete than Kirk Cousins. JJ McCarthy has the upside to be a better athlete and to be a better passer than Sam Darnold. When JJ came from Michigan, he was not asked to go out there and carry the offense on his back, similar to Caleb Williams at the college level, like a Cam Newton at times at Auburn, pretty much his entire tenure with Auburn. They didn't ask for JJ McCarthy to go out there and to be Michigan's offense every single week. They asked him to go out there and manage the game. The Minnesota Vikings have so many weapons on the outside. They just need him to be accurate and to make smart decisions over and over again. And that is what he was able to do at the Michigan level. We can go back and we can look at some of the preseason snaps with JJ. I really don't care about preseason here when it comes to JJ. I care about regular season action. We've seen quarterbacks go out there in the preseason. They ball out. Look at DTR with the Cleveland Browns. He looked amazing in the preseason. When it was time to play week 1, week 2, week 3, he didn't look as good. Can JJ go out there and can he slow the game down and can he put the football where it needs to be to these elite weapons? If Kevin O'Connell can get the most out of Kirk Cousins, and he can get the most out of Sam Darnold, who many label as a bust, imagine what he can do with someone like JJ. And I feel like JJ has become underrated in the national media. So many people are saying that he may not be this good quarterback. It's going to take some time to develop. That may be true. But let's not forget, just because he was not asked to go out there and to be the guy every single week, when it was 3rd and long, he came up with some big-time plays inside and outside the pocket. He's a very good athlete. And we've seen that in the preseason. And he will get the football out quick. I think that JJ, his ceiling is a superstar in the NFL with the pieces around him. It's going to be hard for him to go out there and to be a bust in this system. Now, if he goes out there and we're talking about week 5, week 6 and beyond, and he doesn't look good, it may be time to throw in the flag. Because the pieces and the team that you built around JJ, not too many quarterbacks get to have a team like this, let alone a player that's entering year 2. You still have to be patient with him. But if he's going out there and he's a turnover machine, you may be in trouble because your backup quarterback right now with Minnesota is Sam Howell. But that's just a hypothetical. I think that JJ is going to be fine in this system, and I think that he's going to be a superstar. And speaking of those weapons on the outside, Justin Jefferson, you could say that he's the best wide receiver in football. If you say that it's Jamar Chase, I won't argue with you. If you say that it's A.J. Brown, I won't argue with you, but he deserves to be placed into that conversation. Justin Jefferson is phenomenal. One of the best players in the game, not just one of the best wide receivers. His impact is felt every single week when he's on the field. And he's played with numerous quarterbacks in his career, and he still finds a way to go out there and to be that star-studded wide receiver week in and week out. Jordan Addison, he's going to be suspended for the first 3 games of this upcoming season. I hate that for him, but hopefully he can mature from this. But Jordan Addison, he's a true number 1. We've seen what he's been able to do when Justin Jefferson has missed time with a hamstring injury. So when you have him on the field with Justin Jefferson, one of the best wide receiving duos in football, and you have TJ at the tight end position. This man was not fully healthy last year. He was coming off that torn ACL injury. He's one of the best receiving tight ends in football. When you think of Travis Kelce, George Kittle, he's in that conversation. A very good for sure-handed tight end. So we're talking about 3 very good weapons on the outside, a consistent run game with Aaron Jones, and a revamped offensive line. This should be one of the most complete offenses for this upcoming year. And once again, it does depend on the development with JJ. And Josh Oliver is a solid number 2 tight end. Let's not forget about Jalen Naylor. He was able to come in last year and gave you some big-time production. He's a very good number 3 wide receiver. Defensively here, that first playoff game when you went against the New York Giants, not only was your interior of your offensive line was terrible, your entire defense is horrible because of Coach Ed. They fired Coach Ed. They brought in Brian Flores. Brian Flores is one of the best defensive coaches in the game, and we got to see this last season. They still dealt with some problems with their defense. They blitzed a lot when they went against teams like the Los Angeles Rams. They exploited that blitz, and the same against the Detroit Lions. But they revamped this defense also. You bring in Javon Hargrave, who's a very good run stopper. He can push the pocket from the interior. Is he the same Javon Hargrave that played with the Philadelphia Eagles, that played with the San Francisco 49ers? I don't believe so, because the injuries that he suffered over the last few years, but he is still a very good football player. And you're not asking him to go out there and to be that big defensive tackle every single down, because you also signed Jonathan Allen from the Washington Commanders when they cut him. So now you don't have to go out there and blitz as much to stop the run. You don't have to go out there and blitz as much to put pressure on the quarterback. You now have a clear rotation up front with 2 very good veterans. You can just stop the run right now with just having both of those guys on the field. And you have Harrison Phillips, who's a very good run stopper in his own right. Jonathan Grenard was a very good sack monster last season for Minnesota. Had 12 sacks, 4 forced fumbles. You did lose Pat Jones, but that's why you drafted Dallas Turner in the first round with JJ. So many people are talking about JJ being the first round pick. Let's not forget Dallas Turner was also a first round pick. Didn't play much last year, but he still gave you some good moments last season. He has that upside to be the best pass rusher in Minnesota, but he needs to be given the opportunities more for this upcoming year. He should be a starting edge rusher this season. I know that they have Andrew Van Ginkel. Andrew Van Ginkel is a complete defensive player. That's what he is, even dating back to Miami. Had 50 solo tackles, 11 and a half sacks, 1 forced fumble, 2 interceptions, and both those interceptions went for a pick 6. He's so good at just doing everything for you in coverage, stopping the run, getting to the quarterback, just a Swiss Army knife up front. But mix in Dallas Turner, let him get those snaps, give him that opportunity. And hopefully Brian Flores will do that this year. He's looked very good in training camp so far. I'm very high on Dallas Turner. You have Ivan Pace Jr., who's a very good linebacker, solid in coverage, very good against the run. The secondary has been a problem here because you blitz so much. You have to look at it from the standpoint. Brian Flores goes out there. He's blitzing so much where he's leaving cornerbacks in one-on-one situations. We're in this weird timeline in the NFL. It seems like every single team has a number 1 wide receiver that can go out there and win those one-on-one opportunities. And when you blitz so much, eventually that quarterback and those wide receivers, they're going to give you problems. Look at what Matthew Stafford did in the playoff game. Look at what he did to them in the regular season. Look at Jared Goff and the Detroit Lions in the regular season. You just can't go out there and blitz for majority of the game. You have to come up with different coverages on the back end. Byron Murphy Jr. is a phenomenal cornerback. He's coming off a very good season last year. Very productive. 14 pass deflections, 6 interceptions. He's a very good playmaker in this back end of this defense. You did sign Isaiah Rodgers. We'll see if he can return back to form. Isaiah Rodgers has had some big time moments in the past. Can he be that consistent corner over and over again for you? Harrison Smith continues to not age. This man is in his late 30s now, and he continues to go out there and play like he's 23, 24 years old. 3 interceptions last year, 10 pass deflections, and you could put him inside the box, and he could still be that single high safety at times. I like the defense for the Minnesota Vikings. The only thing that does concern me is their secondary. That's it. In terms of pass rush, stopping the run, they're elite. That's what you're going to get with a Brian Flores defense. Very good run stopping unit, can get to the passer from different angles. They're going to run a bunch of twists, a bunch of stunts up front. They're going to find ways to blow up every single gap on your offensive line if you're not careful. But at the end of the day, it comes down to one person, and that is JJ McCarthy. And can he stay healthy enough? Because even though I don't view the meniscus injury as a huge injury, it is still, you should still be concerned about that. Due to the fact that he couldn't even play last year because he got injured in the preseason. But when you look at him in the preseason this year, he's moving around comfortably. He has a lot of fluid to his game. He was able to hook up with Jordan Addison a lot in that preseason matchup. I'm high on the Minnesota Vikings. I don't want to come in here and say that they're going to be a Super Bowl contender for this upcoming year because injuries can change a lot of things. But based off of how they performed last year in the regular season with Sam Darnold, they were a hot favorite last year. And this is a tough division with the Detroit Lions. But you look at Detroit, brand new offensive coordinator, brand new defensive coordinator. The Chicago Bears, brand new head coach in Ben Johnson. Can Caleb Williams take that major step in year 2? The Green Bay Packers, they may be the most consistent team right now in this division. And we've seen the Minnesota Vikings give them a lot of problems since Kevin O'Connell has become the head coach with Sam Darnold and the same with Kirk Cousins. I have the Minnesota Vikings being a favorite in this division. If they don't win this division, they should be the second best team for this upcoming season. But let me know in the comment section below, how do you feel about Minnesota and how do you view JJ McCarthy long-term with this organization? If you're new to the channel, hit the subscribe button. If you like the video, hit the like button. Most importantly, want each and every last one of you guys stay safe, stay positive. Thanks for the video, guys. God bless.